5 o'clock on the dot this Friday morning. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Got a heads up for drivers today in Gallatin. The funeral procession for Sheriff Sonny Weatherford is going to start from Long Hollow Church at about 1:30 this afternoon. It's going to run about half an hour. Full forecast and traffic coming up in 5 minutes for the commute to work this morning. Now, we see that a third teenager has now been arrested in the ISIS-related terror plot to kill Taylor Swift fans in Vienna. We'll have more on that later this morning, too. Right now, Rhiannon Alley reports newly released police body cam video raises questions about security the day former President Trump was shot in Pennsylvania. It starts at the moment police first spot the shooter.
An officer is hoisted up onto the roof, sees the shooter, and falls back to the ground.
This close, bro. Dude, he turned around on me. He's straight up.
Heavily armed police race toward the building to reach the roof. The officer who confronted the shooter describing what he saw.
He's got a book bag. He's got mad AR laying down.
Those officers scrambling to locate the shooter.
He was on top of this building, the left one.
Finding him after several tense minutes. By then, he's dead.
Former President Trump and Vice President Harris have agreed to debate on ABC on September 10th. Trump says he's agreed to two other debates on Fox News September 4th and NBC on September 25th. Vice President Harris' campaign says future debates are contingent on Trump showing up on September 10th for the ABC debate. Trump's scheduled to have a campaign rally in Bozeman, Montana today. Harris and running mate Tim Walz will be in Phoenix. And right now in Nashville, folks headed to the Titans preseason game tonight are asked to use parking spots downtown due to construction for the new stadium. Channel 4 says it has residents in nearby neighborhoods worried they're not going to be able to get home.
We know they're working hard at trying to find solutions, but obviously they are missing their entire parking lot, and even with it, this neighborhood was full with fan parking. So we'll see what the fall brings, but we're hoping some solutions are found soon.
Yeah, Channel 4 says about half of Nissan Stadium's parking spots are blocked by this construction. Market Numbers Report brought to you by Beacon Capital Management. Online at beaconcm.com. Here's Daria Albinger.
Stocks soared, erasing most of this week's losses. The Dow jumped 683 points. The S&P was up 120, and the Nasdaq rose 464. Earnings season rolls on with Expedia reporting better than expected numbers just after the close. A better than expected weekly jobless claims report helped push the markets higher. First-time claims fell by 17,000 to 223,000 last week. That's fewer, though, than the 240,000 claims that analysts surveyed by FactSet were predicting. Weekly unemployment claims are considered a proxy for layoffs, and although they've been trending higher lately, they are still historically low. A bleak July employment report was one of the main drivers of Friday's big plunge for stocks, which went into Monday's trading. Home prices are still high, but it's a little cheaper to finance at Big Purchase. Freddie Mac says the rate fell to 6.47%, the lowest level in more than a year.
All right, let's check futures ahead of this morning's opening bell on Wall Street. Dow futures up 26, S&P up 18, NASDAQ up 92. That's the latest news. Traffic and weather next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
Hey, it's Dan Mandis, and I am so glad that California Closets has fixed my closet catastrophe. After exact measuring and planning, they came over and got to work. Yeah, once it was all plotted out on their 3D CAD system, the pieces are measured, cut, and precisely installed into my space. It was clean, fast, and professional, and above all, my new closets look and function great. Now, this was my dormer, and now this is my new dormer thanks to California Closets. Look at all of this added space for shirts and shoes, you name it, and it is cut so precisely, simply amazing. And my old closet that has now been reborn as the ultimate in style and functionability, making the best use of the space that I had. They can work on just about anything: bedrooms, garages, home offices, closets, pantries, and so much more. Find them online, CaliforniaClosets.com, and see what they can do for you. You can schedule a free design consultation. Mention my name, CaliforniaClosets.com.
Information fueled.
Opinion driven. This is Nashville's Morning News with Dan Mandis.
And so, my fellow Americans,
we talk news.
5:07 Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Good morning to you, friends. How are you? Finally a Friday, August 9th. Welcome on in. Johnny B, Ken Weaver here as well. I just love how CNN and others, by the way, framing Donald Trump's very long press conference yesterday. Rambling and long-winded, among other things. Now, I'm going to tell you that this was a long press conference and Donald Trump spoke a lot of words. I mean, there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. But here's the thing. As some in the media are castigating Donald Trump for having such a, and I'm air quoting here, rambling and long-winded press conference, do you know why that's actually not an insult, even though they're saying that it's an insult or as an insult? The reason why it's not an insult is because Kamala Harris can't do that. That's the whole point. I was watching CNN just a scant few moments ago, and they were framing Donald Trump's very long press conference where he did speak a lot of words. And they framed it, among other things, as rambling, others long-winded, and so forth. And the point is that Kamala Harris and the Democrats, they refuse to do that. Their own presidential candidate is afraid to give an interview, is afraid to take questions, is afraid to get in front of reporters and answer questions about the economy, answer questions about the border. That's the whole point, friends. And so anybody who's going to sit here and tell you, oh, it was an awful press conference, it was not an awful press conference. Donald Trump did something that Kamala Harris simply can't or refuses to do. That's the point.
And I think it's very important to have debates. And we've agreed with Fox on a date of September 4th. We've agreed with NBC, fairly full agreement, subject to them, on September 10th. And we've agreed with ABC on September 25th. We have spoken to the heads of the network, and it's all been confirmed. The other side has to agree to the terms.
Well, he didn't quite get that right. I don't know what changed, but now it seems like they have only agreed to one debate so far, and that was with ABC, and that's going to be on September 10th. Now, will it be anchored by George Stephanopoulos? That's going to be one of the big questions. I do like how the president said, yeah, debates are important. Remember that he had secured a debate for September 4th on Fox, and Kamala Harris refused to do it. Kamala Harris refused to debate on Fox News. She would only debate, apparently so far, on September 10th with ABC News, and I'm assuming that it'll be Clinton operative George Stephanopoulos who is moderating the debate, perhaps some other folks as well. But listen, the former president, basically one of the things that he says is he just wants to get an interview done. He says that Kamala Harris, she can't do an interview, and she has so far really refused any real debates up until now.
They may or may not agree. I don't know if they're going to agree. She hasn't done an interview. She can't do an interview. She's barely competent, and she can't do an interview. But I look forward to the debates because I think we have to set the record straight.
Yeah, he's absolutely right. And that was the whole point of this press conference. He does need to set the record straight. Look at all of the accusations that the Harris-Walz campaign are hurling against Donald Trump. Who was at fault for the collapse of our southern border? They're trying to say that Donald Trump and the Republicans are at fault for the collapse of the southern border. We all know that that is complete and utter BS, trying to blame Donald Trump. The world blames she and Joe Biden and the Democrats. Will Donald Trump cut Medicare? Kamala Harris has said over and over and over again ad nauseum that Donald Trump is going to be cutting Medicare. He has said repeatedly he will not cut Medicare. Kamala Harris is even getting fact-checked by Politico and others on this perpetual lie. And as I have said over and over again, the left and people who are supportive of Joe Biden and particularly Kamala Harris, they don't care about the lies. They simply don't. Will Donald Trump raise taxes? No.
He wants to keep his Trump tax cuts beyond 2025. Keeping the tax cuts for everyone. What does Kamala Harris wants to do? She wants to raise taxes on everybody because that's what Democrats do. Does Donald Trump want to ban abortion? No, he does not want to ban abortion. He's done. He sent it back down to the states. So there's all of these accusations that Kamala Harris has hurled against former President Donald Trump. And they're lies. And we all know that they're lies because we fact check her every single day. And all of this nonsense, all of this complete and utter BS about Agenda 2025, no, that is not Donald Trump's agenda. He has said that ad nauseum over and over again. But again, they know that they're lying, but they still continue to do it. Why? Because the media doesn't hold her accountable. So Donald Trump will on September 10th. He has got to go into that debate, and he has got to be loaded for bear. He really does. Because she's going to pull all that I'm speaking crap, and he has to say, no, you're lying. That's what you're doing. It was also interesting. People are noticing, and I noticed this last night as well, that Donald Trump seemed a little sympathetic towards Joe Biden. Here's part of what he had to say.
Just take it away from him like he was a child. And he's a very angry man right now, I can tell you that. He's not happy with Obama, and he's not happy with Nancy Pelosi, crazy Nancy. She is crazy, too. She's not happy with any of the people that told him that you've got to leave.
I think what's going on with that, because people are saying, surprisingly, he was sympathetic towards Joe Biden. I don't know if I would necessarily believe that he is sympathetic towards Joe Biden. I think what he's doing is he is calling out Kamala Harris and crazy Nancy Pelosi, and he's doing it, and the Democrats, and he's doing it in a way that sounds sympathetic, but make no mistake, that is a swipe against Kamala Harris and the Democrat machine. That's what that is, because this was a coup. Crazy Nancy knows it. Kamala Harris knows it. Barack Obama knows it. And everybody knows it. I don't feel sorry for Joe Biden. I don't necessarily know if Donald Trump actually feels sorry for Joe Biden or not. But this is a man who has done irreparable damage, in my opinion, to our country. And it was, again, clearly, obviously, a coup. But one of the questions that Donald Trump asked yesterday in this, and I'm air quoting, rambling, long-winded speech, was what exactly is the media's role in all of this? As she is rising in the polls, a lot of this is clearly because of the sell job of the media. That came up yesterday and among many other things, and we'll continue to talk about that. Donald Trump's press conference. We've got a whole lot more this morning on Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7. Time to check the roads on Super Talk. Thank you very much. Partly sunny weekend. High today of 88. High on Saturday and Sunday, 86. Appreciate you listening to Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. I'm chuckling at myself because I know the audio bite that's coming up, which is Donald Trump talking about Willie Brown. So that if you're already bored of the Trump audio, that's fine. I love what he said about Willie Brown. So details straight ahead. Donald Trump was asked why he has not been out on the campaign trail. This is part of what he said. This is kind of a snarky answer, and it should be a snarky answer. Here's what he said.
What a stupid question. Because I'm leading by a lot, and because I'm letting their convention go through, and I am campaigning a lot. I'm doing tremendous amounts of taping here. We have commercials that are at a level I don't think that anybody's ever done before. Plus, in certain cases, I see many of you in the room where I'm speaking to you on phones, I'm speaking to radio, I'm speaking to television. Television's coming over here. Excuse me, what are we doing right now? She's not doing any news conference. You know why she's not doing it? Because she can't do a news conference. She doesn't know how to do a news conference. She's not smart enough to do a news conference. And I'm sorry, we need smart people to lead this country because our country's never been in this danger before.
Please tell me where he's wrong. I don't know about Kamala Harris's IQ, but here's what I do know. What I do know is that she hasn't exactly shown us how smart she is. That's how I will put it. And here's the other thing. When Donald Trump says, and he's absolutely right, he is doing, and that was the whole point. That was the point of the opening monologue, where he's saying, listen, I'm doing what she refuses to do. I'm speaking to you guys. I'm doing radio. I'm doing television. I'm taking questions right now, you nincompoop. So I did like how he said, what a stupid question. I did. What are we, about 20 days without an interview or a press conference or anything from Kamala Harris? I think 20 days. Here's more of what he said about crazy Kamala.
It's about policy. It's not about her. I think she's incompetent because I've watched her. She destroyed California. She destroyed San Francisco. Everything she's touched has turned to bad things. I'm not going to use foul language, but everything she's touched has turned bad. She's incompetent.
All right. Listen, again, he's not wrong. I've done, I think, 2 or 3 interviews on Kamala Harris and her time as district attorney for San Francisco, as attorney general for the state of California. California is still recovering. California is still trying to undo the damage that Kamala Harris did as attorney general. And so I do like that Trump went out, and I don't necessarily agree. He did use a lot of words, but I don't necessarily believe that it was rambling and long-winded. He did get into debunking some of the lies that Kamala Harris has told.
I say the 2 things. We're going to have no tax on seniors, Social Security, and we're going to have no tax on tips. Very simple.
And she keeps saying that Trump is going to cut Medicare. He has always said that he has absolutely no plans on cutting Medicare. He has said that a million times. And so for all of these lies that Kamala Harris has been stating, and she has been, yes, again, fact-checked on a number of these lies that she has told, she just keeps telling them. Now, what did Donald Trump have to say about Willie Brown? Now, in fairness to Donald Trump, he was actually asked about Willie Brown. I think the question was, and you couldn't really hear the reporters, but he was asked if he's followed the discussion of how Willie Brown impacted the trajectory of the career of Kamala Harris.
Well, I know Willie Brown very well. In fact, I went down in a helicopter with him. We thought maybe this is the end. We were in a helicopter going to a certain location together, and there was an emergency landing. This was not a pleasant landing, and Willie was he was a little concerned. So I know him pretty well. I haven't seen him in years. But he told me terrible things about her. But this is what you're telling me anyway, I guess. But he had a big part in what happened with Kamala. But he I don't know, maybe he's changed his tune, but he was not a fan of hers very much at that point.
So apparently they almost got into a helicopter crash, and he knows that he impacted her career.
Well,
I don't know, man.
Well, at least he didn't eat Uncle Bosie.
There was that.
So there's that. Did that happen?
Yeah, we fact checked that.
You know what? Maybe we should. Why don't we try to fact check and see if Donald Trump and Willie Brown
We're almost in a helicopter
We're
crash.
almost in a helicopter crash going to a certain location.
And apparently he was telling him terrible things about Kamala Harris.
Can you imagine the helicopters crashing? Can I just add that I hate Kamala Harris?
Tell me more.
You know what I mean?
Dude.
It's like the helicopter's crashing, and Willie Brown decided to just get it off of his chest and talk about how much he hated Kamala Harris.
And I couldn't wait for the debate with Biden.
That's the thing, man.
This next one?
This next debate.
Oh, it's going to be...
It is going to be on, man. Because, with Biden, I think we all kind of knew that he was not going to do well. I think the question was, how bad is he going to do?
Yeah, and what was it going to look like?
Oh, by the way, you know what other things people are reporting on with this press conference with Donald Trump,
Yeah.
the orange hue was gone. Have you noticed that
I did notice
he's no
that.
longer orange?
Yes, he looked a little pale.
Yeah, he looked pale.
I
Yeah,
think
he
looks.
did.
I just, you know what? I will never understand the whole orange thing. Like for Donald Trump, I thought he looked fine without the orange. I did. I thought he looked fine.
Yeah, I
You know?
agree with you. I mean, I don't think he looked bad.
Yeah, he didn't look bad yesterday,
No, he just.
but
you know,
He must be staying out of the tanning bed.
yes.
Well,
because he
he's
didn't
busy.
have white around his eyes. Like his eyes weren't whiter than the rest of his face.
Right.
Do you know what's interesting? I wonder why Trump was asked the question about Willie Brown and Kamala Harris. It is well known that she had an affair with a married man and got involved in politics, and that was her inroads. Why would he not hit that softball out of the park? Like, why would he not say, because that is a legit conversation to have? Why would he not go after Kamala Harris and say, yeah, word is she had an affair with a married man and he helped her get involved in politics, set her up on some commissions and hooked her up with some donors. And, you know, he really was instrumental. Slick Willie was instrumental in helping her get started in politics. Why would he not say that?
Well, knowing Trump, it may be a
Do you think he's feeling a little hamstrung now?
No, I think it's a strategic move. I think he may be saving it for the debate to surprise her. Because if he's not going to mention it, then she's going to feel like, well, we're pretty safe.
Yeah, he's not going to go there.
And knowing him, the way he handled Hillary Clinton, he'll bring it up at the debate.
All right, well, you know what? We'll have to wait and see. 523. But that's why I really want to watch this debate.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
Oh, yeah, it's going to be a must-watch.
I'll stay up all night for that one.
Oh, I sure will, too. All right, 524 on WTN. Ken Weaver, what's coming up in the news?
Well, coming up in the news, a third person is now in custody related to that alleged terror plot to kill Taylor Swift fans in Vienna. We're also hearing the police body camera audio the day a shooter tried to kill President Trump. Coming up at 5:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Hey, what's up, guys? This is Matt Murphy for Members Nutrition. I want to tell you about the Members Nutrition difference, and I want to encourage you to go over to the Members Nutrition website. Number one, they believe at Members Nutrition that they can sell vitamins and supplements at a lower cost point, and they're doing it every single day at membersnutrition.com. Number two, they want to make these products right here in the United States of America, not from some overseas company, and they do that every single day. I encourage you to go to membersnutrition.com. You'll get 50% off your purchase price at checkout. You don't have to put in any codes. Just go to membersnutrition.com. Once again, membersnutrition.com.
.526, Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. It is Nashville's morning news. So, just a quick Google check. We'll further discuss during the Gang of Three Amigos regarding this fabled helicopter ride that Donald Trump says he took with Slick Willie Brown. And they've now unearthed Willie Brown. And believe it or not, Willie Brown is still alive at 90 years old.
Man, now reporters are going to be on him now.
Well, let me tell you something. Willie Brown, I remember the days of Willie Brown.
Of course, according to the rumors, there's probably somebody already on him.
Even at 90 years old, I'm sure that Slick Willie is...
Willie's still going.
He's still going, man.
That's right. I got those blues, you know what I mean?
Well, you know, there's something else to talk about, too, man. I saw a headline yesterday that Biden forgot what he was doing whenever he was hosting the World Series champion Texas Rangers. He said he's in the Oval Office with the team, and he goes, "What am I doing?" That's the headline, according to the New York Post. This man is still in charge.
I heard he also, I got this from a Republican website.
What is going on?
But from what I understand, he got a stat wrong about one of the players in RBIs. Where he's like, yeah, this player led the league in RBIs or something, and people are like, no, he didn't. So I don't know.
I'm surprised he didn't start telling stories about whenever he was throwing no-hitters.
Yes.
Knocking in those RBIs.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. He was knocking. I was knocking a bunch of RBIs.
Yeah, and then there's Uncle Bozy, boy. He really knocked him out of the park.
Well, and speaking of knocking, wait till you hear what Willie Brown says about this helicopter ride with Donald Trump. So that story and a whole lot more straight ahead. By the way, the Super Text line is open, 615-737-9986. People want to know if we're going to have a watch party for the debate on the 10th. I don't know. I think that'd be fun.
It would.
I think that'd be a lot of fun.
Actually, yeah.
We could do a drinking game every time Kamala Harris says, "I'm speaking." You could just, take a shot, because by the end of it, I do want to be drunk because I'm not going to be able to handle it.
And whenever Trump says, "the likes of which nobody's ever seen."
Do you know what the thing is? That's funny, Ken. You know what the thing is that you have two of the most disliked politicians in the world, right?
Again.
I mean, I like Donald Trump, but let's be honest. There's millions of people that cannot stand the guy. And you've got Kamala Harris, who, by almost all accounts, she is not a pleasant person. So you got two of the most hated individuals in politics, and they're going to be on one stage, and that's going to be really fun to watch. So we'll see what happens. 5:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
5:30 on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories and a heads up for drivers today. First in Nashville, there's going to be road closures for tonight's Titans preseason game at Nissan Stadium. Fans are being asked to use parking spots downtown because half of the lots at the stadium are blocked by new stadium construction. And in Sumner County this afternoon, drivers in Gallatin, be prepared for delays starting about 1:30. This will be for the funeral procession of Sheriff Sonny Weatherford. That's scheduled to start at 1:30 at Long Hollow Church. Full forecast and traffic in 5 minutes. A third person is now in custody related to the alleged terror plot to kill Taylor Swift fans at her shows in Vienna. An 18-year-old, authorities say, had been in contact with the main suspect, is the third suspect they've arrested. Investigators say they're scrutinizing what they call the networks of these suspects. And here in America, we're hearing the police body cam audio the day a shooter tried to kill former President Trump. Here's Aaron Katursky.
The moment police in Butler, Pennsylvania first confront the gunman who opened fire on former President Trump. An officer's hoisted to the roof, sees the shooter, and falls back to the ground. Body camera audio starts moments later.
He's straight up!
Heavily armed police race toward the building.
Next.
To reach the roof, the officer who confronted the shooter describing what he saw.
He's laying down, burned out, book bag next next to him.
Officers scrambling to locate the shooter, finding him after several tense minutes. By then, the gunman, 20-year-old Thomas Crooks, is dead.
Former President Trump and Vice President Harris have agreed to debate on ABC on September 10th.
She's barely competent, and she can't do an interview. But I look forward to the debates because I think we have to set the record straight.
Trump says he's agreed to 2 other debates on Fox News September 4th and on NBC September 25th. But the Harris campaign says that's contingent on Trump showing up for the ABC debate September 10th. That's the latest news. Traffic and weather next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Time for the gang of 3 amigos with, I'm Dan. Johnny's over there. Hey, Johnny.
Hey.
Johnny B.
Yeah.
I called you JD earlier. Did you catch that?
No, I did not. You called me JD?
I did. By
like
accident.
Jack Daniels. Okay.
Well, I'll take some of that.
I'll take that.
Now, listen, if I ever call you Jack A or JA for Jack Aston. Hey, Ken, how are you?
Good morning, boys. Yeah.
Why did you go down that road?
You know, I don't know. I'm a little scattered because once again, my computer in here is acting a little wonky, but that's okay.
My patience is
All right, so for people that are just joining us,
computer's acting a little Biden-ish, is it?
It sure is. This is Donald Trump, what he said about he and Willie on a helicopter way back when.
Well, I know Willie Brown very well. In fact, I went down in a helicopter with him. We thought maybe this is the end. We were in a helicopter going to a certain location together, and there was an emergency landing. This was not a pleasant landing, and Willie was he was a little concerned. So I know him pretty well. I mean, I haven't seen him in years. But he told me terrible things about her. But this is what you're telling me anyway, I guess. But he had a big part in what happened with Kamala. But he I don't know, maybe he's changed his tune, but he was not a fan of hers very much at that point.
All right, so they caught up with Willie Brown, and as they say, Slick Willie, and they asked him about all of this, and this is what he had to say.
It appears that Donald Trump is talking about you today.
That's what I heard. I heard that he was doing what Donald does best.
Which is?
His creativity fictional.
So I could read you directly what he said, but in essence, he says you were doing business together, you were in a helicopter, you almost crashed. Let's start with that.
I've never done business with Donald Trump. Let's start with that. And secondly, I don't think I'd want to ride on the same helicopter with him, because there's too many people that have an agenda with reference to him, and including the people who service helicopters. So I don't want to be on a helicopter with him.
All right, so I'm gonna call BS on that.
Yeah.
Because that may be true now, but not way back in the 90s or whenever this supposedly happened.
Yeah.
But he says, yeah, this never happened. And they do also ask about, and I'm going to play that audio, what he has to say about Kamala Harris these days.
Somehow I have the impression if you were ever in a helicopter and it was going down, he would know about it.
The world would have known about it.
Okay. Then he started talking about Kamala Harris. He said you had not nice things to say about Kamala Harris.
Well, obviously he didn't hear me.
So is he making these things up?
He'd have to be. I said he's creative. I mean, like real creative.
So
that's so far-fetched. I mean, it's unbelievable.
Why do you think he's dredging up your name?
Well,
why do you think he's dredging up your name? Well, I don't know. Maybe because you had an affair with a future president of the United States, possibly, and she got her start in politics while having an affair with him. I mean, why do you think he's dredging up your name?
Well, and if you heard his answer there, he did not say Trump is lying. He just said he'd have to be.
Yeah.
That's politician talk for
Yes, it is.
Don't put me on the spot.
Well, that's Slick Willie.
Well, I suspect because in the 70s and in the 90s, he actually called me. I was speaking at Harvard. And he was trying to do some kind of facility in Los Angeles, and somebody had told him that the Speaker of the California legislature has more contacts with people who make those decisions.
And so, and he kind of goes on to, talk about all that, and she tried to reiterate the point.
That's your answer, right? Okay.
He's dreaming.
Okay.
And then he just sort of. That's Willie Brown.
Yeah.
Willie.
Wonder what that sounded like, him and Kamala in the same room with that laugh. Good Lord. Put those laughs together, Dan.
Oh, Lord.
Can you imagine the Kamala cockle with the Willie Wheeze?
Do it, dude. We got to put that together.
You, Johnny?
Oh, my God.
Do you have the I can't do it in here. If you have the Kamala cackle, I can play the Willie Wheeze.
The
Willie Wheeze and the
Willie
Kamala
Wheeze
cackle.
and the Kamala cackle.
That's exactly right. That's what oh, my God. They do. They kind of sound.
Jew.
Wait. All right. You.
They do.
They actually match up. Do it again. 1, 2, 3.
They do.
That is amazing.
It's the same rhythm. It's almost the same cadence.
That's pillow talk, baby.
Yeah, baby. That's
well, you know, they clearly had a connection.
Well, apparently they must have been soulmates.
Are we going to do that one more time? One, you ready? 1, 2, 3. That is amazing.
Exactly. Wow.
The stupid stuff we come up with, man.
I know. Stupid things we stumble on.
All right, going back to Donald Trump and Willie on this helicopter.
All right, so who do you believe? Let's go to the phones. Who do you believe?
Well, why did Trump go directly to a helicopter going down, almost or crash landing? I mean, you can't make that up on the fly.
That's true.
I mean, or can you?
Who knows?
No, it's obviously.
I was on a helicopter with Willie Brown, and it was going to crash.
Yeah, I don't know. Where did Biden come up with, and I'm not comparing the two, but where did Biden come up with his uncle got eaten by cannibals?
Are all of Biden's stories.
Now listen. Okay, now listen. This is from the Daily Beast.
All right.
It appears that Donald Trump was referring to a helicopter flight he took with Jerry Brown, the former governor of California, and Brown's successor, Gavin Newsom. In 2018, the group were surveying damage from the Camp fire to the town of Paradise in the Sierra Nevada foothills.
So it must have not been Kamala they was talking about. Probably Linda Ronstadt.
Okay, so they both have the same last name, which is Brown, but there's a big difference between Jerry Brown and Willie Brown.
So Trump got them mixed up.
I hate when that happens.
That's what it sounds like to me.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what the Daily Beast is saying. And listen, if we're going to make fun of, Joe Biden.
We got to make fun of this, too.
Oh, yeah.
Because it's funny.
It is funny.
It is funny. Oh, well.
All right, so he's going to have to answer some more questions about this.
I mean,
he's open. See, this is where he gets in trouble is when he starts. If he'll stay on what he does best as far as being a president, all the great things he's done, instead of going into that magical mystery tour of Donald's mind.
Oh, yeah. You know what? That's all you got to do, man. Just stick to the policy. That's all you got to do.
Just don't go on that magical mystery tour of hours and hours of stories.
Yeah, there's no reason for it. He doesn't have to do it. By the way, you want to hear something funny? So this is what happens in my house. So I'm doing show prep for this morning's show. Amy comes down. I'm listening to Trump yesterday, and I thought, is he saying her name right? Because remember, there was a whole big thing about how Donald Trump was saying her name wrong.
Kamala.
Remember that whole thing? Yes. Where he would say
Kamala.
And so then I thought, Amy, is he saying it right? Because it sounded like he was saying it a little differently now.
Kamala.
That's what he said yesterday. Kamala. Now it's Kamala Harris.
Right.
It's Kamala.
So there's that. Kamala.
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 There's not much.
So he's still saying it wrong?
Yeah, it's Kamala.
It's Kamala?
Kamala.
Yes.
Do I say it right? Yeah, I say it right.
It's Kamala, yes.
Then we found the cut of Barack Obama.
Kamala.
See how he says it.
Kamala.
Kamala. That's what it's.
Kamala.
Kamala.
Kamala. No, wait a minute. He's kind of going Kamala.
He is.
Kamala.
He's saying it wrong, too.
Yes.
He's a racist, that Barack Obama.
Yes, he is.
We don't know what her name is.
Well, we sure don't know what her policy is.
Maybe we better go back to Willie.
Hello?
Ask him. He'd say, sweet thing.
Well, yeah, you ask Willie about Kamala, all he says is... That's whatever. So dumb.
That is dumb, but can you imagine years of that? Oh Lord,
boys.
I'm
telling you, man.
Can we do this? So we can't do this, but it would be kind of funny to get like Hillary and her cackle. And Kamala's cackle, and Willie Brown, and just do like a super triple laugh.
GW's laugh too when he'd. Have we ever heard Mitch McConnell laugh?
I don't think I've ever seen the man's mouth move much.
Yeah.
That'd be a good laugh.
He is a good laugh sometimes.
Hey, speaking of laughing, it is Friday. Who is our favorite senator?
I got a lot
Senator?
of them.
John Kennedy.
Yes,
I love John Kennedy.
So,
and he's.
And I love Tim Burchett.
And Tim Burchett.
Both of
in the
those
house.
guys. I love those two guys.
Somebody's put together a really funny montage of some Kennedyisms.
Great.
So let's go ahead and play it.
Life is hard, but it's harder when you're stupid. I did not call Senator Sanders an ignorant slut. People who are bilingual, speak English and stupid. I don't know why we have to give money to countries that hate us. They should be able to hate us for free. Looks like we're giving Lindsay Lohan the keys to the minibar. President Biden is sort of like Kevin Bacon at the end of Animal House, the cantina bar scene out of Star Wars. They wanted it like Ben wants J-Lo. I'm like Bluto in Animal House. I'm just fat, drunk, and stupid. Frankly, I can't because I can't get my head that far up my rear end. Stick it up their fact checker. They can kiss my ass. Somebody at the White House has been smoking the devil's lettuce, okay? We cannot run the greatest economy by putting fairy dust and unicorn urine in our cars. Urinate to get off the pot. My car doesn't run off fairy dust. My car doesn't run off unicorn urine. The spending porn on pet projects, it's just chock full of spending porn. There's an enormous amount of spending porn. Next time you get in trouble, call a crackhead, call a criminal, call a meth head. It must suck to be that dumb. I don't mean disrespect, but the mayor needs to take her meds. Christmas ornaments, drywall, and Jerry Epstein. Name 3 things that don't hang themselves.
There you go. Willie Brown thought that was funny. Kamala did too. Oh, there you go.
Dude, we're like an acid trip this morning.
We really are. Well, hell, Ken, the whole world's like an acid trip.
Oh, man.
Good gosh, what we're living through. Man, is this not bizarre?
2356. Trump was with Jerry Brown, not Willie Brown.
Yeah.
Add Johnny B's laugh in there.
I don't find much to laugh at these days. Trying, though.
Well, I do. I'm telling you, man.
Yeah,
it's
you know
hard
what?
for me not to laugh sometimes in the middle of my newscast.
Trump got it mixed up. It was Jerry Brown. Johnny is right. So there you go.
All right. Well, Trump's going to have to answer to that.
Listen, and here's the deal.
Hey, it can happen.
Well, it happens all the time.
Happens to all of us sometimes. Maybe. trying to help you out, Don.
Has that ever happened? Has that ever happened to you guys? Like where you're like, I know that happened, and it was this person at this time, and then
I can't recall.
I can't recall either. I can't remember mixing someone up with someone else.
I'm certain that I have. I just don't remember. But I'm also not trying to run the United States and be the leader of the free world.
Exactly.
So, and you guys are right. And again, we don't want to be accused of hypocrisy. Right. So Trump got it mixed up.
Yep.
But there is a clear difference between Donald Trump and Joe Biden.
Oh, yes.
Because Joe Biden could not have done what Donald Trump did yesterday with that press conference. That's number one. And number two, with Biden, the mental mishaps have been so frequent and to the point where they can't even really allow him to speak much out in public. So,
well, they're alarming. I mean, the man is real. I mean, you can look at him.
Yep.
I mean, it looks like, I hate to say, but my mother-in-law, who has sadly since passed away, when I would look at his face, I'd seen the same look in hers. And it's not pretty.
Yeah, and that's true. I mean, there's news out there today about Nancy Pelosi. Nancy Pelosi was cornered by Katie Couric. And Katie Couric was asking her about the whole thing. Maybe I'll play the audio next hour. With Joe Biden, I feel like he's irrelevant at this point. Like, what's not irrelevant is what Kamala had to do with the cover-up. But right now, I almost feel like talking much about Joe Biden, even though he is president and the victim of a coup. I think at this point, really the focus has to be on Tim Walz and Kamala Harris because we have a big debate coming up on the 10th of September.
ABC News.
ABC News. And
George Slopanopoulos.
Well, you know what? They are involved in that lawsuit. So I don't know.
Yeah, I don't think he can be part of it. That would clearly be a conflict of interest.
Yes.
Because he is being sued by Trump because George said that Trump raped Jean Carroll. And that's not what the charge was.
That is exactly right. Yeah, we played that audio way back when.
Yes.
So, yeah, and George Stephanopoulos was dead wrong on that.
Yes.
And he actually argued, if I remember right,
Yes.
Ken, he argued with a guest on that.
Yeah, the guest who she is either a congresswoman or senator who is a victim of rape.
Get Strahan.
That's right. That was bad.
Yeah, it was real bad.
So
I wonder who will be moderating the...
Probably be David Muir.
Oh, good.
I would say David Muir. And they may roll out Rachel Scott, who attacked him there at the black journalist thing there in Chicago.
You imagine?
Yeah, they will. Oh, yes. Count on it.
All right. Well,
Yeah,
that's going to be fun to watch.
Here's the thing about this man. He does not run away from it.
No, he doesn't.
He doesn't shy away from it.
No, he'll show up.
He will accept the challenge. And you already see that Kamala isn't going to agree to the Fox News debate.
No, what a chicken.
Oh, she is. But you know that'll never be brought white. That's pretty good chicken, Dan.
Was it?
Yeah. It's pretty good, man.
It's Kamala. It is Friday. I feel like we've got like Friday brain.
I think we do. I think it is Friday brain.
Ken, what's coming up?
Well, we've had a third suspect arrested in the alleged terror plot to kill Taylor Swift fans, and we've got that police body cam footage. You're going to hear some more of that of the day they tried to take, or that the shooter tried to take former President Trump's life. Coming up at 6 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. .556, Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
By the way, the super text line is open 615-737-9986. I don't even know if we got to the answer as to whether or not we'll be having a watch party for the September 10th debate.
Oh, yeah.
We certainly hope so. We can pull these things off fairly quickly. I'm not in charge of that stuff anymore, thank the Lord. But they were setting one up for September 4th because that was the Fox News one.
Yeah.
And then Kamala won't agree to that one. And so now we do have the one apparently confirmed by Kamala and Trump for the 10th of September.
Just got to pivot now.
They got to pivot.
Got to pivot.
That's what they got to do. They got to pivot. So we'll keep you updated on that. What I would suggest, because people are always asking how can they plan, just plan on us being somewhere on September 10th. I don't know if it'll be in Nashville. I don't know if it'll be in the borough. I don't know if it'll be, we haven't been to Williamson County in a while. So I don't know.
Yeah, last time we were in Williamson County, wasn't that the State of the Union?
I don't remember.
That was a long time ago.
We do so many events. I just...
Yeah, it was a State of the Union a long time ago.
I don't remember where we were when.
Nope. That wasn't Williamson County. That was Nashville.
And here we are making fun of Trump and Willie Brown. And
if you'll remember, boys, we were on a helicopter headed to the venue, and it crash landed in the parking lot.
Talking about ex-girlfriends, the whole thing, right?
Yeah.
All right, just kidding. All right, 5:58 on WTN.
Hey, what's up, guys? This is Matt Murphy for Members Nutrition. I want to tell you about the Members Nutrition difference, and I want to encourage you to go over to the Members Nutrition website. Number one, they believe at Members Nutrition that they can sell vitamins and supplements at a lower cost point, and they're doing it every single day at membersnutrition.com. Number two, they want to make these products right here in the United States of America, not from some overseas company, and they do that every single day. I encourage you to go to membersnutrition.com. You'll get 50% off your purchase price at checkout. You don't have to put in any codes. Just go to membersnutrition.com. Once again, membersnutrition.com.
Six o'clock on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Got a heads up for drivers today in Nashville. There are going to be road closures ahead of the Titans preseason game tonight at Nissan Stadium. Then in Sumner County, Gallatin, the funeral procession for Sheriff Sonny Weatherford is going to start from Long Hollow Church at 1:30 this afternoon. Full forecast, traffic updates in 5 minutes. Right now, a third teenager is in custody in the ISIS-related terror plot to kill Taylor Swift fans in Vienna. Investigators say they're scrutinizing what they call the suspect's network and found that an 18-year-old had been in contact with the main suspect. They took that 18-year-old into custody last night. Meanwhile, in this country, Rhiannon Alley reports newly released police body cam video raises questions about security the day former President Trump was shot in Pennsylvania, starting at the moment police first spot the shooter.
An officer is hoisted up onto the roof, sees the shooter, and falls back to the ground.
Case closed, bro. Dude, he turned around on me. He's straight up.
Heavily armed police race toward the building to reach the roof. The officer who confronted the shooter describing what he saw.
He's got a book bag. He's got mad. AR laying down.
Those officers scrambling to locate the shooter.
He was on top of this building, the left one.
Finding him after several tense minutes. By then, he's dead.
Now, former President Trump and Vice President Harris agreeing to debate on ABC on September 10th. Trump says he's agreed to 2 other debates. Fox News, September 4th, NBC, September 25th. But Vice President Harris's campaign says they'll wait to see if, quote, Trump shows up on September 10th before deciding on those other ones. By the way, Trump is at a rally in Bozeman, Montana today. Harris and running mate Tim Walz will be in Phoenix. Right now in Nashville, folks headed to the Titans preseason game tonight being asked to use parking spots on Lower Broad due to construction for the new stadium. Channel 4 says it has residents in nearby neighborhoods worried they won't be able to get home.
We know they're working hard at trying to find solutions, but obviously they are missing their entire parking lot, and even with it, this neighborhood was filled with van parking. So we'll see what the fall brings, but we're hoping some solutions are found soon.
Now, Channel 4 says half of Nissan Stadium's parking spots are blocked because of the construction for the new stadium. Market Numbers Report brought to you by Beacon Capital Management, online at beaconcm.com. Here's Jim Ryan.
Stocks roared back Thursday following a report that weekly U.S. unemployment claims fell more than expected. Investors are hoping this week's plunge on the global markets was a flash crash rather than a prelude to recession. As for the numbers, the Dow Jones soared 683 points to close at 39,446. The Standard & Poor's 500 surged 2.3%. The Nasdaq Composite finished higher by almost 2.9%. Pharmacy powerhouse Eli Lilly announced stronger than expected earnings Thursday, buoyed by popular weight loss medication Mounjaro. Its weight loss drug Zepbound crossed $1 billion in sales for the first time in a quarter. Microsoft has issued an intelligence report detailing activity that points to Iran's intentions to meddle with this year's U.S. presidential election. The tech firm says Iran plans to launch influence campaigns designed to stir up controversy or sway voters, especially in swing states.
All right, Dow futures up 3, S&P up 7, NASDAQ futures up 48. That's the latest news. Traffic and weather next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
Information fueled.
Opinion driven. This is Nashville's Morning News with Dan Mandis.
And so, my fellow Americans,
We talk news.
6:07 Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Welcome on into your Friday, August 9th, along with Ken Weaver, Johnny B. Dan Mandis here. Kamala Harris finally acknowledging the accusations of stolen valor by her running mate, Tim Walz. We're going to talk about that and a whole lot more straight ahead here on Nashville's Morning News. Some stolen election news also coming up this hour, but I do want to get to, this week, this notion, this accusation, which I believe the accusation is true, of the governor for the state of Minnesota, Tim Walz, and this accusation of stolen valor. And I don't need to reset the entire thing for you. You know what's going on. Kamala Harris was cornered when she finally agreed to answer a couple of questions regarding whatever it might be. And of course, the stolen valor question was one of them. And this is what she had to say.
I praise anyone who has presented themselves to serve our country. And I think that we all should.
Yeah, I couldn't hear it either. I think she intentionally did the interviews and answered these questions, just a couple of questions, and she did it right next to the engine of the airplane, so nobody could hear anything.
Well, and that's where the press pool has to go where her handlers tell them to be.
It's exactly right.
So
you're going to go over there, and we're going to allot you 2 minutes. Ask a question. Nobody's going to be able to really hear the answer, and it's just going to be really awkward for everybody.
Yeah, apparently Bill Clinton used to do that a lot, too.
Yeah, Brian talks about that a lot. So you can't hear her answer, but basically what she says is she praises anyone who served, and we all should praise anyone who served. But here's the thing. She's not answering the question about his lies or embellishing his military record. Now, this is a very big deal. Her campaign, Kamala Harris's own campaign, has now had to adjust their bio of running mate Tim Walz. The Harris campaign, this is from the Associated Press, the Harris campaign has altered its biography of Minnesota Governor Tim Walz on the campaign website, making a change to a reference to his military service amid ongoing scrutiny of the 2024 Democratic vice presidential nominee's military credentials. Walz's biography initially said that he was a, quote, retired command sergeant major. It has since been updated to say that he served as a command sergeant major. There is a big difference. So for a little bit of time, he did serve as this command sergeant major. We've been telling you about this all week. But he never completed all of the training and ended up retiring. So he never had that rank upon retirement. Even Minnesota's National Guard has said they demoted him after he bailed. You also know the story. I've been telling you about this all week, where he was in the National Guard. He was the head of the unit. They got called to Iraq, and he basically decided at that point, when they were notified that he was going to bail and he was going to go run for Congress. And so he left his unit, stranded his unit, as they say. So this accusation of Tim Walz going not AWOL, but just leaving his unit, it's not going to go away anytime soon. Clearly not. Here's a quote from him out on the campaign trail. You remember this. Now, this is on top of, number one, the fact that he left his unit when they got called to Iraq. That's number one. Number two, where he was utilizing this phrase, this title, retired command sergeant major, when he shouldn't have been using that. So he has now updated that title for the website and so forth. So those are two things right there. Then there was this comment.
And we can make sure that those weapons of war that I carried in war is the only place where those weapons are at.
All right, so the question was, okay, so what exactly did you carry weapons into war? We told you about this yesterday when he said,
and we can make sure that those weapons of war that I carried in war is the only place where those weapons are at.
When he said that he carried weapons into war, that was false. That was something that he never did. He never carried weapons into war. You know, the joke out there has been that Donald Trump has been shot at more times than the governor. And so J.D. Vance, and appropriately so, J.D. Vance went after him.
Well, I wonder, Tim Walz, when were you ever in war? What was this weapon that you carried into war, given that you abandoned your unit right before they went to Iraq, and he has not spent a day in a combat zone? What bothers me about Tim Walz is the stolen valor garbage. Yep. Do not pretend to be something that you're not. I'd be ashamed if I was him and I lied about my military service like he did.
Yeah, so there's three things related to his military service that Kamala Harris would not answer. Number one, 2005, you bailed on your unit when you found out they were going to go into Iraq and said, no, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to run for Congress. That's number one. Number two, using the title you weren't supposed to be using. And number three, this notion that you went into war when you never did. Three things related to his military service. And part of Tim Walz, part of his deal, part of his brand is the military. Remember that fake phone call where Kamala Harris calls him, he's wearing a camo hat. And so Harris, she doesn't want to talk about any of this. She says, well, we should praise anybody who was in the military. We should praise anyone who served. I do agree with Kamala Harris on that. Probably the only thing that I will ever agree with Kamala Harris on. But what about when they lie? What about when they lie about their experiences? Brianna Keeler, now you may remember her. She's on CNN. And she actually now is calling out not Tim Walz, but J.D. Vance. I want you to listen to what Brianna Keeler has to say about J.D. Vance as J.D. Vance is calling out Tim Walz.
I also think that J.D. Vance, as a messenger on this, may be an imperfect messenger, because we have, as you introduced him, as a combat correspondent, which was what his title was. But when you dig a little deeper into that, he was a public affairs specialist, someone who did not see combat, which certainly the title combat correspondent kind of gives you a different impression. So he may be the imperfect messenger on that.
JD never lied about his service. JD never lied about his rank. JD never lied about his experiences. And JD, as far as I can tell, he never abandoned his unit or the folks that he worked with. No, that is what Tim Walz did. So Brianna Keeler is way off. And also the other thing that I would say, and we talked about this the other day, you've seen what's going on social media. You've seen what's going on Instagram and X and perhaps Facebook as well, if they allow it. And that is men and women in the military, they're posting pictures of themselves not being Tim Walz. And they're decked out in all of their military garb. And they're saying not being Tim Walz, who, again, abandoned his unit when they were called to Iraq. And they've got all these pictures of them in Iraq. And it's part of the viral nature of social media. So when Brianna Keeler says, oh, J.D. Vance is the imperfect messenger. Really? Well, then what do you call all of those people on social media that are calling out Tim Walz? Oh, and there's more straight ahead at 6:15. Time to check the roads on WTN. Thank you very much. Partly sunny weekend. A high today of 88. High on Saturday and Sunday. Both 86 degrees at Super Talk 99.7 WTN. So just kind of riffing on this whole Tim Walz thing and the stolen valor. By the way, people are saying that he needs to be charged with breaking stolen valor laws. And as far as I can tell, those laws actually would be appropriate if you'd lied about actually getting medals of honor and that kind of a thing, which as far as we know right now anyway, Walz never did. But moving on from there, one of the other things is Brianna Keeler is saying, well, J.D. Vance is the imperfect messenger related to the Tim Walz stolen valor story. Well, it's not just J.D. Vance. is not just all of those veterans that I told you about on social media. Remember on, I think it was Tuesday or Wednesday, whenever it was, I played you the audio of this Tom Behrens, the guy who not only served with Tim Walz, but also was absolutely disgusted when he bailed on his unit when they were called to Iraq.
He abandoned us. As soon as the shots were fired in Iraq, he turned and ran the other way and hung his hat up and quit. It's stolen valor is really what it is.
Right. And so then, of course, you had on Brianna Keeler's very own network, they had a fact check of Tim Walz.
He has used language that has suggested that he carried weapons in a fighting situation. There is no evidence that at any time Governor Walz was in a position of being shot at, and some of his language could easily be seen to suggest that he was. So that is absolutely false.
Yeah, it is absolutely false. So I don't know where Brianna Keeler's going with all this. I really don't. Fox News and other outlets are actually now chiming in and speaking to other veterans about how they feel about all of this. Over the last several days, we've had veterans call WTN, Chris Hand's show, I think Matt's show and Brian's show as well. And they're disgusted. I've been reading your messages on the super text line. Absolutely disgusted with Tim Walz and this stolen valor. Because when you talk about the experiences of veterans and how what y'all went through in Iraq and I went through them earlier this week, from the roadside bombs to dealing with, snipers and, kids walking up strapped with bombs on them. I mean, the experiences of what you went through in Iraq are horrifying. And for Tim Walz to use the title that he was using, intimating that he was in Iraq and served with his unit in Iraq is, I don't care what you call it, it is stolen valor. And Brianna Keeler and some of these other folks can try and dissuade the American people of thinking that he is participating or is guilty of stolen valor. But the fact of the matter is he is. Fox News had a guy on named Jared Sessler, who is running for Congress in the state of Washington.
He's taking credit for something that he didn't necessarily do. You contrast that to someone like J.D. Vance, who has a very similar history that I do, where, people like us who've actually been through difficult and hard times, whether it was in the military or personal life, we embrace that because we realize that it's our challenges that actually made us the great Americans that we are today.
Minnesota National Guard Director of Operations, Army Lieutenant Colonel Ryan Rossman, telling, I think this was Axios in a statement, that he was technically a command sergeant major when he deployed to Europe with his battalion, but to retire with that title, you have to go through a final course, which he had not completed. And, here's the thing, is that I don't get real excited. I mean, I'm reporting the story regarding the title, but I don't really hang my hat on the title. I hang my hat over the fact that he used this comment regarding the weapons of war.
And we can make sure that those weapons of war that I carried in war is the only place where those weapons are at.
Because he is, again, intimating the fact, or, he's trying to say that he was in wartime when he wasn't. And really what he's doing is he's obfuscating the fact that he walked away from his unit when they were called to Iraq. And that's why there's so many of his former members of his former unit that are coming out and going after him. And by the way, just so we're clear, others have come to his defense as well. It is 6:20 on Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. The phone number, 615-737-9986. Super text line is open as well, 615-737-WWTN. Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling. They're always looking for ways to save you money, and right now they've got a great back-to-school special. You buy a new high-efficiency HVAC unit, you're going to register to win the Healthy Hive giveaway, which is a $2,000 sponsorship to a local school of the winner's choice. They're looking out for you. They're looking out for our communities as well. Now, remember at Busy Bee HVAC, they also do plumbing. And right now, you can get $500 off of a tankless water heater conversion, $500 off of a home drain repipe, and a whole lot more. And you become a Beehive member like I am, and I have been for 10 years, you can get a free membership for a teacher, a coach, or a faculty member. Looking out for you, looking out for our community, looking out for our schools. That is Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling. Tell them Dan Mandis told you to reach out. 615-775-7833. 615-775-7833. They are your Rude Pro partners. You can find them online, busybeehvac.com. 622 on Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7. Ken Weaver, what's coming up in the news?
Well, a third suspect arrested in the alleged plot to kill Taylor Swift fans, and police body cam footage raising new questions about the attempt on former President Trump's life. These stories and more at 6:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
The guaranteed offer is the easiest way to sell your home. It's really simple. We bring you an all-cash offer. You close in as little as 21 days. No home inspections, no lockboxes, no open houses. Go to markspain.com to get a guaranteed offer and start packing.
627, Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Oh, look at Johnny B. Giving me a shout out on the Twitter, on X.
Yes, I did.
Thank you, Johnny.
Congratulations.
Here's what Johnny tweeted out. Congrats to my friend and coworker Dan Mandis. He was a 2024 Marconi Awards finalist. Dan is a finalist in the category of Large Market Personality of the Year. Well deserved. Listen.
It is well deserved.
It's because of you two. Like we make such a great team. I love coming to work every day. Hopefully the second time's the charm. First time it was rigged. So we'll see if the second time,
they were ballot harvesting.
We'll make sure you'll be, because you're the best.
That's exactly the greatest ever.
You're the greatest ever. There's no one like it.
Because all they got to do is watch the videos of me doing my radio show. I do the accordion hands, just like Donald Trump. So when we talked about Trump, I did the accordion hands.
And it's beautiful. I love every minute of it. Dan, I'm not going to be like Joe.
Do you know why I'm not going to win?
Why?
All they got to do is look at my Twitter feed, man. I'm a raging conservative. I don't know.
That'll go.
I don't know. I'm in there with a bunch of music shows, and they like their music shows. I will see what happens. It's whatever.
You never know, Dan.
Listen, I've always said, sadly a lot, it's an honor to be nominated. So we'll see what happens.
That's been the story of my life, Dan. It's
exactly.
an honor. It's an honor to be even here.
If they only, if only the Marconi people could see behind the scenes when I have to ask Johnny 3 times what time I'm coming back. For the love of all that is holy, Mandis, you're back in 2 minutes. At 28, that's when you're coming back.
What's the temp, Johnny?
Johnny's like, I'm telling the Marconi people.
It's 72. Currently 79 degrees on.
Shut up, Johnny.
We love you, Dan.
629, Nashville's Morning News on. So thank you for the shout out, Johnny. 629 on Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. I want to tell you about my friends at My Patriot Supply. Listen, things are getting crazier by the day. As you can tell, you need to be prepared for anything. My friends at My Patriot Supply can make that happen at my website, preparewithmandis.com. Now, they can provide you with any number of things to be prepared. Emergency food is one of them. That is all part of being self-reliant, self-sufficient. I can help you at my website, preparewithmandis.com, and my friends at My Patriot Supply. They are the most trusted name in survival. So go to my website, again, preparewithmandis.com, and get your water filtration system, your charged solar generator, and yes, that emergency food as well. Go to preparewithmandis.com right now. You're going to save $200 on their best-selling 3-month emergency food kit. That's $200 off per kit, and yes, they're going to put in free shipping as well. It delivers over 2,000 calories per day, sealed inside practically unpierceable packaging. And yes, it does last up to 25 years. Preparewithmandis.com. Save $200 per kit. Free shipping is included. Preparewithmandis.com.
A third suspect arrested in the alleged plot to kill Taylor Swift fans. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. We'll get you to that story in a moment, but first, a heads up for drivers in Sumner County today, Gallatin to be precise. The funeral procession for Sheriff Sonny Weatherford is scheduled to start at 1:30 at Long Hollow Church, and it'll go for about half an hour. Full forecast and traffic in 5 minutes. Yeah, investigators in Austria say they've arrested a third suspect in the alleged ISIS-inspired plot to kill Taylor Swift fans. Reports this morning say an 18-year-old was taken into custody last night after investigators say they saw this person had contacted the main suspect as investigators scrutinize what they call the suspect's network. And back here in America, we're hearing the police body cam audio the day a shooter tried to assassinate former President Trump last month. Here's Aaron Katursky.
The moment police in Butler, Pennsylvania first confront the gunman who opened fire on former President Trump. An officer is hoisted to the roof, sees the shooter, and falls back to the ground. Body camera audio starts moments later.
He's straight up!
Heavily armed police race toward the building.
Next!
To reach the roof, the officer who confronted the shooter describing what he saw.
He's laying laying down, burned out, book bag next to him.
Officers scrambling to locate the shooter, finding him after several tense minutes. By then, the gunman, 20-year-old Thomas Crooks, is dead.
Former President Trump and Vice President Harris agreeing to debate on ABC September 10th.
She's barely competent, and she can't do an interview. But I look forward to the debates because I think we have to set the record straight.
Trump says he's agreed to 2 other debates on Fox News and NBC, but Vice President Harris isn't committing to them.
I'm glad that he's finally agreed to a debate on September 10th. I'm looking forward to it, and hope he shows up.
By the way, Trump's scheduled to have a campaign rally in Bozeman, Montana today. Harris and running mate Tim Walz will be in Phoenix. That's the latest news. Traffic and weather next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
Thank you, Ken. 6:32, Nashville's Morning News on WTN. Friends, if you need anything for your home, go to my place, DT McCall's. Now, they've been doing business with Middle Tennesseans for 100 years. Generational growth, as I like to say, because they do it all at DT McCall's. Great value, outstanding merchandise, and great customer service as well. Now, I bought my oven there at DT McCall's a couple of years ago now. It was really easy. I went to dtmccalls.com. I found what I wanted at the price I wanted to pay. They also delivered my oven for free and hauled away the old one. That's what they're going to do for you as well. This is a great American company, a great Tennessee company that has indoor and outdoor furniture, appliances, kitchen appliances, and all the best brands. Now, financing options are also fair and reasonable at DT McCall's because they know that times are tough right now. Remember, they have as many of their items made right here in Tennessee as possible because they love Tennessee and they like to keep the dollars local. 5 locations across Middle Tennessee for DT McCall's. Carthage, Cookeville, Lafayette, Lebanon, Franklin, always online, dtmccalls.com.
Won't you take me back to Tennessee?
I'm going to give it away. We're going to do TikTok today.
Oh, TikTok or talk? Okay.
TALK.
Spring is here. Today we're going to talk about ticks. Bugs are coming out. Unfortunately, ticks are coming out. People are going to be out in the woods. First, the types of ticks.
American dog tick, the black-legged deer tick, the Lone Star tick. We've got a Gulf Coast tick. Got a new one coming in, the longhorn tick. These are the ones we need to watch out for. 75% of vector transmitted diseases now are from ticks. Rocky Mountain spotted fever, rickelosis, tularemia, Lyme disease, almost flu-like, gonna run a fever. You may or may not get a rash in the saliva. They secrete the cement to glue themselves in.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that's great.
So you need to get some tweezers, get down on that capitulum and grab it and pull the tick off. Do not grab the body. A lot of people think ticks drop out of trees. They don't drop out of trees. And they can't jump. And they can't fly.
So they're in the leaves, on the plants and things.
On the grass,
on the
leaves of the grass. And they do this number with their front legs. And that's called questing. They are sensing a prey item coming by. They'll take those legs and latch on and then crawl up.
And then there you go. You're battling it.
6:38, Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Welcome on to Nashville's Morning News. I got a bit of an issue at the house, boys.
What's going on?
Well, just very quickly, I walked out this morning. There's trash all over the yard, the front yard.
Oh, I know what that could be.
So I'm the guy at 3 o'clock in the morning picking up trash because the stupid raccoons got into the trash, and unfortunately, I missed some.
The trash pandas.
The trash pandas.
Yes.
So, of course, Amy is asking me about it, my lovely missus. And she says, I had a feeling leaving that lid open would be bad, but I trusted my husband's judgment.
Oh, you get that too, do you?
I sure do.
Well, you know what you need to get? You need to get those trash cans that you can lock. They make trash cans like that.
I do. You know what? I wonder if I can get one of those at DT McCall's.
I bet you can.
On the super text line, by the way, Jonathan Fahey is coming up in about 1 second, but we're talking about Tim Walz and the whole stolen valor thing. Just to let you know, there's two sides to every story, and there's my side, which I'm horrified at what he did. However, 9108 out of North Carolina. I support you guys 100%. I have to say, though, in regards to Walz abandoning his unit when he got orders to deploy, this one bothers me, he says. It happens quite frequently after members serve 20 plus years in active duty that they get orders to a different assignment or orders to deploy. They drop their paperwork to retire. He says this isn't abandonment. This is thinking about your family, establishing roots, and your future after the military. So there are two sides to every story, but there's other issues as well, like the utilizing of the title that they say that he wasn't entitled to use, and also the fact that he intimated, and we played the audio and all this in the previous segment, he intimated that he was in a war, and he simply was not, and CNN even fact-checked him on that. So that's where we bring in Jonathan Fahey. Of course, Jonathan is one of our political analysts, and always seeing you, Jonathan, on Fox Business with Maria Bartiromo, among other places. Let me ask you, I mean, is this a fair criticism of Tim Walz or not?
Yeah, I think this is entirely fair because, if you think about it, he's used this military service as a way to bolster his political career. It does seem like, I haven't followed him that closely over the years, but you see clip after clip of him using this to advertise, basically show, he served the country and other things. And I think it's entirely fair, and particularly the part where, I don't think there's any question about, when he suggested he was in combat, that, and in order to advance a political agenda, and at that point with a gun control agenda, it's really cynical. And, and even the thing about leaving his unit, yeah, he had the right to do it, I guess, and everything else. But he certainly, the people in it felt abandoned by him. And he certainly also put his interest, which is trying to be in Congress, over the interest of, his unit and other things like that. So I think it's totally legitimate, and you see them floundering with this, and it's really reminiscent of John Kerry back in 2004 when he, his whole campaign was about his military service until the Swift Boat book came out and just knocked him, hit him in the chin, and he never got up from that. And so it's totally legitimate. The media is going to try to say that you're not even allowed to talk anything about someone's military service. It's somehow out of bounds. And by the way, Trump didn't serve, that little trick. But if he makes it a part of his campaign, which he did and has, it's certainly fair game. And it certainly appears that he has not been at all candid about it, and he should be called out. And you can see the way they're floundering. They know it's a problem, and it's not going to just go away with, making an accusation about Trump and bone spurs or whatever they want to do.
Well, and the other thing, and I don't want to repeat everything that I did in the previous segment, but Brianna Keeler over there on Fox News, I should say on CNN, and she was calling out J.D. Vance because, J.D. Vance, she says, was not necessarily a combat veteran or something to that effect. And they're trying to obfuscate what the problem is here. The problem is that it's not only J.D. Vance, but it's also members of his unit. And it's also, thousands or millions of veterans across the country who are now taking to their social media with pictures of them in Iraq saying, not being Tim Walz. So this is a problem. what's interesting, though, and I think this goes to Kamala Harris's judgment, where she says, they knew about this controversy. They really looked at it 2 weeks before she named him, or a week and a half before she named him as her running mate, and they blew it off. And now there's a bit of a rebellion going on within the Harris campaign because people are saying, I told you so.
Yeah, you really think, I don't think anyone has ever suggested she has good judgment, and that's the reason why the White House has really kept her out of anything important over the last 3.5 years. But it does really just show a glaring, just missing the point, because the whole point of Walz, or her VP, was sort of to bring her to the center to get those voters that are kind of these pro-military, Midwestern, pro-law enforcement types of voters, and they bring in a guy that basically slapped the military in the face and is about as anti-law enforcement as you can get. And they thought, it just shows how much of a bubble they're in. They think if a guy wears a camo hat and goes hunting, that they could just trick middle America into voting for him. And I think they're sadly mistaken. And it is funny because it's the first test of her judgment that we've seen, assuming she's picking him, and we're not really sure what's going on in that party, but it does show that she swung and missed here, because everyone else, at least on the Republican side, seemed to be more formidable against Donald Trump than Walz. And he's really, they want him to be something that he's not, and he's just a far left governor. He's not impressive, but they want him to be, G.I. Joe or whatever they want it. They think middle America will be impressed by, but I think they really missed the mark here, and they're going to start paying. The polls right now seem like, Kamala's still on this sort of ascension, but I think they're going to start going down, because this is the first time she's gotten any negative press at all that I can, recall, other than certain networks, over the past, 2 or 3 weeks. So I think it's going to, you're going to see some damage, I think, coming through in the next week or so, at least poll-wise.
6:45, Nashville's Morning News. Jonathan, going to ask you about Donald Trump's long press briefing yesterday. The press, he called the press together and had a little press conference. We're going to talk about that and a whole lot more straight ahead. Time to check the roads on WTN. Thank you very much. As far as your weather goes, partly sunny today and high of 88. Your weekend is going to be high on Saturday and Sunday, 86 degrees. Appreciate you listening to Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. So Donald Trump, I played you some of this audio in the 5 o'clock hour. I'm going to play one audio bite really quickly for Jonathan Fahey. Then, Jonathan, going to get your comment on how you think this went. This is, again, Donald Trump during the press conference yesterday.
They may or may not agree. I don't know if they're going to agree. She hasn't done an interview. She can't do an interview. She's barely competent, and she can't do an interview. But I look forward to the debates, because I think we have to set the record straight.
All right, so that is Donald Trump. So I'm going to ask you a couple of questions here. But number one, CNN called this a rambling, long-winded debate, or I should say press conference, where, they say that he really didn't say a whole heck of a lot. I would disagree, but it was long, and he did, as I said in the 5, he spoke a lot of words. How did you think that press conference went yesterday?
I think it went well in terms of, it really does do a good, really served to show the contrast between him and Kamala Harris, because you really honestly could not see her. There's no way she could handle a press conference. We all know that. I might be wrong, but I don't recall her ever doing one. The best she's done is, The View or Lester Holt interviews, but you can't even imagine her doing a press conference with multiple topics. And it does, the one thing that Donald Trump, yes, some of his answers are long and go into other topics, but it also just shows his comfort with the subject matter. It's not like if he gets a question that he's uncomfortable with or isn't beneficial, that he just runs away from it or anything else. He digs deep into it. And the other thing that I think is really good with Donald Trump, and so much better than almost all other politicians, he actually listens to the questions and answers it, as opposed to if you get a question I'll give you these 3 talking points. And if you give me this question, I'll give you these 3 talking points. He really listens and tries to give a thoughtful and substantive answer. I think the things that are most beneficial to him, though, is when he really can bring it back on the issues that benefit him. Hit the immigration, because we know Kamala Harris and Tim Walz are open borders, pro-sanctuary cities. Hit the crime issue. Tim Walz let his city burn for political reasons. Hit hit national security. Hit the economy. When he was talking about, your people are they're voting with their stomachs, meaning that, grocery prices are so high. I think that's really, really true. And I think if you hit those 3 or 4 things over and over, those are what's going to decide the election. And the Democrats, all they have issue-wise that seems to benefit them, or at least they view beneficial, is the abortion issue and lawfare or January 6th, whatever. But everything else they have no leg to stand on. So I think he has to keep bringing it back to the core issues, because, you're looking at the undecided voters, or, people that are not watching the news. They might not necessarily be, they're not necessarily dumb or anything, but they're not 24/7 glued to this stuff like, some of us are, that, they really need to know what are the issues, what's he going to do on inflation, what's he going to do on the border, what's he going to do on this stuff, because then they look for the contrast, and I think he wins. But the overall, I think it was good. It shows his ease of discussing things. Some of his answers could certainly be more concise, but, any of us that have done this stuff, like probably me now, this could have been a more concise answer. But I think overall it does highlight this contrast. And you can't, I can't even imagine, and they are probably prepping the heck out of her to try to get her through an interview, and they're lining up like a Stephanopoulos or somebody that will be just totally spoon-feeding her answers, and the questions will be like, what's it like being a woman running for president?
Sure, the whole thing.
Which that doesn't help in the, when you're on the other side of the table from Vladimir Putin. You can't play those games.
How do you think she's going to do in the debate with Donald Trump? We know that the whole thing with I'm speaking and all that other kind of stuff, when she does that, she's just not likable. Now, the left will just, dive right into that. They're just going to love that. Oh, yeah, you put Donald Trump in his place. I'm speaking, right? But that is so, I think even if you're an independent, you hear that, and it's just, you're not very likable when you do that kind of stuff. But do you think that there's any percentage in that kind of behavior on a debate stage with Donald Trump?
Yeah, I think that's what she'll do. It's all this childish type of, debate strategy that seems like, honestly, it would be for like, maybe a high school or junior high school. Because remember the trick with Joe Biden, that little girl was me, that thing, it just seemed just childish. But she's going to they're going to feed her some sound bites that she can use so they can make those, the story of the day. So she's going to be rehearsing those. Yep. I think substantively she'll be absolutely horrendous. She'll be able to do okay on like an abortion issue and a few things like that. She can get those talking points out. But everything else, I think she'll be disastrous. But I don't think she will get hard questions, and I think they'll be more, steered to her. But he really has to come out and crush it and talk about the positive the next 4 years, while attacking her, but make it more about the next 4 years and be the president up there. Because I think just showing that contrast, he doesn't want to get into the name calling and all that stuff, because ultimately, it's sometimes entertaining and sometimes, justified, but I don't know that it helps with the people he's trying to bring over to his side. He needs to just show strong leader, can deal with these problems effectively. She's totally inept and can't. And I think everyone actually knows that that's the truth, but I think she will ultimately be poor, but I don't, she'll probably have a few good moments that they'll be able to put on TV. The I'm speaking, Mr. President, the things she did with Pence. They'll have a few of those that she really stood up to him and punched him in the face type of things. The Democrats will, talk about how tough she is, and it'll be embarrassing. But it will, it will get a lot of coverage, and they will do their best to make it look good for her.
It's crazy. I'm looking at Real Clear Politics polling, and Kamala Harris is doing well in battleground states. She's doing well head-to-head with Donald Trump. Yet 65% of the people feel like the country is on the wrong track. What am I missing here? And I'm probably asking you the hardest question, with only a minute left. but you got 65% saying that we are on the wrong track. Only 24.9% say the country is going in the right direction, according to the Real Clear Politics average. Yet, Kamala Harris is part of that administration that people clearly disagree with on the direction of the country, yet she's doing okay in the polls against Donald Trump. I just don't understand. It's like the country is not connecting Kamala Harris with the direction of the country.
That's a really good point, because I've noticed that too, that it's almost like she came out of nowhere and she hasn't been part of the current administration, which arguably, substantively, she hasn't. But, this was what she's running on and being vice president. But I do think that's interesting. It's like almost, and every time you see those polls recently, it's very depressing that most people think we are going in the wrong direction. They're the leaders now, so why would you want to continue in the wrong direction? You think the move would be to change directions, but I do think there is just almost like a disconnect between, the Biden administration and Harris, even though she's part of it, and I think a lot of it's just this media hype and stuff like that. But I do find it quite interesting. If you want to continue going down a road where you get poorer, where your family is less safe, where the border is not secure, where we're insecure national security-wise, while we're further in debt to make your children worse off in the future, this is the way to go. Go with Harris. But it does seem like I think that they've got to do a good job of linking her to the administration. And hey, if you want to continue with these failed policies, this is your candidate. If you want somebody that will make things better for you and your family, but it will occasionally say things that make you uncomfortable, Donald Trump's your guy. And that's really the decision for some of these swing voters is like, yeah, he may say things in a harsh way, but when he was the president, not literally everyone, but as a general matter, people were better off in terms of financially. We were more secure. We were safer in our communities, and people, I think, had a better view of our country, both internally and throughout the world. People had more respect for the United States.
All right, Jonathan, have a great weekend and have a great week next week, and we'll talk to you soon. 6:55 on Nashville's Morning News. Ken Weaver, what's coming up?
Well, investigators are still rounding up suspects in the alleged ISIS-inspired plot to kill Taylor Swift fans. We've got newly released police body cam video of the day a shooter attempted to take former President Trump's life. And construction on a new stadium, cutting off half of the parking that is typically available at Nissan Stadium. You got people who live around it worried fans going to the preseason game tomorrow night are going to block their way home. Coming up at 7 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Hey, what's up, guys? This is Matt Murphy for Members Nutrition. I want to tell you about the Members Nutrition difference, and I want to encourage you to go over to the Members Nutrition website. Number one, they believe at Members Nutrition that they can sell vitamins and supplements at a lower cost point, and they're doing it every single day at membersnutrition.com. Number two, they want to make these products right here in the United States of America, not from some overseas company, and they do that every single day. I encourage you to go to membersnutrition.com. You'll get 50% off your purchase price at checkout. You don't have to put in any codes. Just go to membersnutrition.com. Once again, membersnutrition.com.
I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Got a heads up for drivers today in Sumner County, Gallatin to be precise. The funeral procession for Sheriff Sonny Weatherford scheduled to start at about 1:30 this afternoon from Long Hollow Church. Going to be about a half-hour procession. Full forecast in traffic in 5 minutes. We see that a third teenager is now in custody in the alleged ISIS-inspired plot to kill Taylor Swift fans in Vienna. Investigators scrutinizing what they call the suspects network took an 18-year-old into custody last night whom they say had contacted the main suspect. Meanwhile, Rhiannon Alley reports newly released police body cam video raises questions about security during the attempt on former President Trump's life. Starting at the moment police first spot the shooter.
An officer is hoisted up onto the roof, sees the shooter, and falls back to the ground.
This close, bro. Dude, he turned around on me. He's straight up.
Heavily armed police race toward the building to reach the roof. The officer who confronted the shooter describing what he saw.
He's got a book bag. He's got mad AR laying down.
Those officers scrambling to locate the shooter.
He was on top of this building, the left one.
Finding him after several tense minutes. By then, he's dead.
Former President Trump and Vice President Harris agreeing to debate on ABC on September 10th.
She's barely competent, and she can't do an interview. But I look forward to the debates because I think we have to set the record straight.
Trump says he's agreed to 2 other debates on Fox News and NBC, but Harris is non-committal.
I'm glad that he's finally agreed to a debate on September 10th. I'm looking forward to it and hope he shows up.
Trump's scheduled to have a campaign rally in Bozeman, Montana today. Harris and running mate Tim Walz will be in Phoenix. Right now in Nashville, construction on a new stadium is cutting off half of the parking that is typically available at Nissan Stadium. So people who live nearby are telling Channel 4 they're worried that fans going to the Titans preseason game tomorrow night will park in their neighborhood instead and block their way home.
We know they're working hard at trying to find solutions, but obviously they are missing their entire parking lot, and even with it, this neighborhood was full with fan parking. So we'll see what the fall brings, but yeah, we're hoping some solutions are found soon.
Yeah, officials are asking fans to take advantage of the parking that is downtown, an estimated 20,000 spots within a mile of Nissan Stadium. Market Numbers Report. Market Numbers brought to you by Beacon Capital Management, online at beaconcm.com. Dow futures up 4, S&P up 9, NASDAQ up is just barely 1 point. That's the latest news. Traffic and weather next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
Information fueled.
Opinion driven. This is Nashville's Morning News with Dan Mandis.
And so, my fellow Americans,
we talk news.
7:08, Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. How are your friends? Welcome on into your Friday, August 9th. Along with Johnny B. and Ken Weaver. I've been called the whiny little B word. Can I just ask this question? So I've got, here's what I'm noticing. Like, ratings are really good right now, and that's all great. I think they're all hate listeners coming in. I think that's what it is.
We'll take them.
Yeah, sure. Come on board.
What I've noticed, though, if the super text line is any indication that the hate listeners just like to, hit me with all the hate, but they don't send hate notes to, Chris Hand or Matt Murphy or Brian Wilson, they're all between 5 and 9. The hate people.
Wow.
That's because they're not asleep. They're tired.
Yeah.
They're cranky.
You know what? They get it all out early in the morning, and then they go on with their day. And listen, if that's what you people need to do, then I'm glad that I'm here to help.
There you go. That's why that's why ratings are.
I don't want you to go out and kick a cat or, hurt a dog. If you want to kill my raccoons, that'd be great.
Hey.
People are telling me my little raccoon problem this morning.
Yeah.
I came out at 3 o'clock in the morning. I'm picking up all the trash that the raccoons left all over my yard.
Oh, yeah.
People are saying
that.
I just need to. This is what people are saying. I need to go out and just shoot the raccoons.
Little trash pandas.
I'm not going to go shoot raccoons.
They're
so cute.
They are. Well, you think they're cute till you encounter one.
All right, so
they can be quite mean.
Get you a big old dog.
So CNN. My dog's an idiot. So CNN.
Well, I said get you a big old dog.
So CNN, moving right along.
Third time's the charm, Dan.
CNN is now, because earlier I was talking about how CNN called Donald Trump's press conference yesterday rambling and long-winded. As the morning goes on, they're getting more nasty. Rambling and rant-filled. Apparently, Donald Trump put on his rant pants. Maybe he borrowed the rant pants from Matt Murphy show. I love when Murphy goes on his, puts on his rant pants.
Oh, I
and
do
how he
too.
talks about that. Oh, I love that.
I do too.
So anyway, apparently yesterday's where were these rants? Because, rants is like you're yelling and you're screaming and, all that kind of stuff. I don't think Donald Trump was ranting yesterday.
No.
He was trumping.
He's just being Donald Trump.
Exactly.
That's exactly what he's doing. And
they may or may not agree. I don't know if they're going to agree. She hasn't done an interview. She can't do an interview. She's barely competent, and she can't do an interview. But I look forward to the debates because I think we have to set the record straight.
I love what, Ken, do you have that Kamala Harris debate cut handy that you just played in the last newscast?
Stand by, Brother Dan.
I love how she's trying to act all tough when she was asked about debating Donald Trump. This is what Kamala Harris said yesterday in front of Air Force One.
I'm glad that he's finally agreed to a debate on September 10th. I'm looking forward to it, and hope he shows up.
I hope he shows up.
Getting all mouthy.
Yeah.
She is. I mean, sorry, that was me moving the microphone.
Wow. I was going to say.
That wasn't a result of my breakfast, okay? That was me moving the microphone.
Kamala getting all mouthy out there.
She is. She's starting to, throw down some smack. And by the way, that's fine. Because people heard that on the super text line, and they're just, they're what did she say? Yeah, you know what? Listen, she can throw down smack. If she wants to throw down smack, it go right on ahead.
I still love Donald Trump when he said, "What a stupid question."
Oh, yeah. They asked him, why aren't you out on the campaign trail?
Exactly. What a stupid question. Because I'm leading by a lot and because I'm letting their convention go through and I am campaigning a lot. I'm doing tremendous amounts of taping here. We have commercials that are at a level I don't think that anybody's ever done before. Plus, in certain cases, I see many of you in the room where I'm speaking to you on phones, I'm speaking to radio, I'm speaking to television. Television's coming over here. Excuse me, what are we doing right now? She's not doing any news conference. You know why she's not doing it? Because she can't do a news conference. She doesn't know how to do a news conference. She's not smart enough to do a news conference. And I'm sorry, we need smart people to lead this country because our country's never been in this danger before.
Right, and I was talking, during the previous segment about the fact that Kamala Harris is doing well in the polling, even though Americans are dissatisfied with where our country's going. It just doesn't make any sense. Now, one of the things that I liked what Donald Trump said was, listen, Kamala Harris, she can't even do interviews. And so he says, there's a lot of things that we just need to get her on the record as far as her policies go.
They may or may not agree. I don't know if they're going to agree. She hasn't done an interview. She can't do an interview. She's barely competent, and she can't do an interview.
And that's true. That was one of the recurring themes during the press conference yesterday.
Yeah.
But we do need to get her on the record, and there's a lot of things that the record does need to be set straight on.
Oh, yeah.
Because they keep lying about Trump's policies.